Welcome to We're Not Wizards. We're the best, and also we're not wizards. Enjoy the show. Bye.
Pocket Paragons card game review, Solis Studios. We don't exist in a bubble. Our differing experiences shake our opinions and life views, and that's a wonderful thing. Trends affect our decisions. New ways of thinking change our perspective. Comparisons will always be made by what we're used to do in the past compared to what we've done now. Board games naturally feed off each other, as designers can't help but be subconsciously influenced by what they see, read and play. I've personally never seen the sense in the big ultimate list of comparisons of all board games. Games are generally just designed and sold to facilitate making the passing of time easier on us, and also ideally make money for the creator, whether that be through forcing us to guffaw with laughter or spend 7 minutes staring at the same space deciding whether to place a meeple or not. Games have an objective, an aim that they intend to fill, so it's important that when I'm writing about them to take that into account. Pocket Paragons aims to fill that time where there's no time to play a game, and tries to grasp its own little corner of the board game market. Pocket Paragons is that small space on the train table on a journey, that gap between drink glasses in a pub, that small movable coffee table that's either gently lifted or dragged around the living room floor. It's almost a micro game in terms of its size, and takes the basic rock, paper, scissors mechanical genre to a new plane with special moves and finishers to wipe out your opponents, play cards, add or remove life points or energy, and then resolve any special actions. Pocket Paragons is easy to set up, fairly straightforward to play. You'll have your main character card that will give you clues on what strategy to use, and an ultimate power that you charge up as you play. On a round, you and your opponent will decide which card they're playing, play the card and resolve. Certain cards have the ability to counter others in rock, paper, scissors style, which can trigger additional effects on the cards as well as charge up the amount of energy the player has. Each player usually has some kind of execute move, which if played when the other player is resting will win the game. Each deck comes with its own mini strategy that you're advised to follow if you plan to triumph, and it can take a bit of time to get used to them and how they play. As you get closer to emptying your hand, you'll need to rest in order to replenish them. There's always taking a chance if the other player manages to play their execute card and take you out. There's not a huge amount of depth here, but it seems to be entirely intentional on Solis Studios' part. In terms of winning, you simply reduce your opponent's life points down to 0 or carry out a successful execute move while they're resting, and that's going to win you the game. In terms of looks, well, Pocket Paragons suffers from an inconsistent graphical design style which can spoil the overall aesthetic and learning of the game. The main background art differs depending on the characters you play, as there are multitudes of illustration styles to take in and enjoy. With the characters coming from a range of sources, I expect there to be differences in that regard. What I didn't expect is there to be differences in the format of the information boxes on the top and bottom of the cards. The designers highlight the asymmetry of the game in terms of player powers and strategies, but it makes little sense to have a graphical design style that seems to be the same for some of the sets of cards and then changes to a different format for another. I'm guessing it's based around the versions of the cards and when they were introduced to the series. But some of the text, it's just not that particularly easy to read at a quick glance, which again, considering the fast nature of the gameplay, is a bit of a shame. I quote this: "The Pocket Paragons is a quick, deceptively simple game of big spells and big reads." It is. It'll be a lot easier to learn if you put the instructions in the box. The game isn't big enough to warrant an online rulebook, especially when there are already cards in the deck that detail what the icons mean. Considering the amount of information on the Learn to Play page, It's just like an unnecessary barrier to allow people just to get on with things and start slapping down cards. There's a glossary on the site, and it'd be great if this was something that was in the box when you opened it rather than something you need to spend time on a phone to find. Pocket Paragons is all about diving in, as the decks vary considerably between characters, and it's quite fun just to set up several and switch to new decks as soon as the game finishes. With the differences of play on offer, there can be quite a steep learning curve to understand how different character styles work, but it does open up the replay options and increase the replay options of the game overall. Pocket Paragons is one of those games you'll get lucky and you'll be destroyed within 5 minutes. You get even luckier and you'll be locked into a longer battle due to the two characters you've decided to play with. The games I played lasted anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes, and it never feels like it overstays its welcome. And what do I think? Well, Pocket Paragons wants to be a short, sharp shock of gaming that plays quickly and offers a level of longevity that you just wouldn't expect in games of a similar size. The media pack that I played contained a huge number of decks that was frankly a little overwhelming considering the range of playstyles on offer, and Pocket Paragons reminds me of learning a new Street Fighter game, where I end up just picking a random character without knowing the moveset and simply dying and diving in, pressing a couple of buttons, flailing madly in the hope I land a hit. Sometimes, the rock, paper, scissors mechanic will lead to a monumental game of back and forth as attacks are countered and special moves landed, whereas other decks will disappear back in the box until you can take the time to learn what makes them tick. There is a surprising level of depth of strategy for how you win with some of the characters that will need revisited several times before you fully grasp how to play with them. But I'm not entirely sure where the Pocket Paragons audience is, as the very casual players among us might find some of the decks mechanically confusing, while the more experienced gamers might find the short random gameplay a bit too random to want to dig their claws into it, especially if they're used to some of the more established card battlers out there. But in all fairness, my concerns with the game are more cosmetic than mechanical, because even when the decks don't work for you, at least you've not spent like 20 minutes of your life waiting to find out if you're going to struggle to win. Pocket Paragons aims to serve you up card battling tapas in bite-sized chunks, which, with my gripes aside, it manages to do with a confidence that will endear it to players who want the battling without the extra faff. Any tips? Play all the decks you can. I mean, sometimes resting early is better than leaving it until the last possible minute. This review is based on the media preview version of the game provided to us by the designer and publisher. We're not paid for this review. We give a general overview of the gameplay, and so not all of the mechanical aspects of the game may be mentioned. As always, if you like what you've listened to, then you can read the original review on We're Not Wizards Tabletop.com. You can also, you're on the website. You can also see we'renotwizards.com as well as other places. If you'd like to support us, you can also go to patreon.com/we'renotwizards and chuck us a buck to help keep the lights on. Thank you for listening. Until the next time, stay safe, roll sixes, make something awful, and goodbye.
A wizard is never late. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.